Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review slash knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kershaw Highball XL, a knife that I've been wanting to look at for a while now, and thanks to Alan, I am able to do that. So thank you very much, Alan. Thanks so much to my generous patrons as well for supporting me right now. There's a link for Patreon right down below. And please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. We're going to kind of speed through things here real quick. This is a pretty straightforward knife, and it's going to be a pretty straightforward review. By the way, this is available. You can find it right down in the description of this video, right at the top, first link. And it's very inexpensive, so I urge you to check it out if you'd like. Overall length coming in at 7.5 inches. Blade length coming in at about 3.3. Cutting edge coming in about 3.25. How about some size comparisons? Just a couple here. The Ontario Rat Model 1 and the Rat Model 2. So you can see here that this is sort of in between. Just a little bit more knife than the Rat 2. How about up against the Spyderco Para 3? And then we'll do one more, the Benchmade Bug Out. This is very bug out-esque. I'm sure a lot of people watching, I didn't realize it was so close to, you know, the bug out dimensions. Yeah, let's go ahead. Yay, that bug out is sharp. Caught dead skin. It caught all dead skin, but it just about got me there. Anyways, let's go ahead and do carry profile up against the Spyderco Para 3. Yeah, very thin. Not a lot you know, the material is not overly thick. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3 is really not any longer than the Para 3. It's definitely shorter than the PM2, and it's also nowhere near as tall this way. So that's nice. What are we looking at for materials here? We're looking at steel for the frame lock, more steel for the pivot hardware. This has just been heat anodized blue. So it's definitely not titanium. It just has that blue color. And then we have a D2 steel blade. I'm going to guess this thing weighs about 3.5 ounces. Let's try. 3.88 ounces. So not perfect ratios. We are dealing with a steel frame lock, though. So that's the reason for the excess weight. Not bad. 0.8 ounces away from what I consider to be ultra lightweight anyway. And it's under my general carry preference weight. So I don't mind, but you might. Let's go ahead and do hardware check, get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the description section that talks about my tools. I think, yeah, there's the adjustment side. Yeah, so there you go, T8. And then for the body screws and the pocket clip screws, we're looking at T6. Not a big deal. Just make sure you've got a good place to keep your hardware when you're disassembling your knife and some quality tools, and you should be good to go. Is there any weight reduction on the inside? No, I don't believe so. I think it is just steel in there. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness. Blade stock thickness on this guy is coming in at, whoops, 115 thousandths. That's about what I'd expect, so fairly thin. That's good. Okay, I think that's it. Let's go ahead and move on with the review. So here's what I love about this. This is not an American Kershaw, right? Some people aren't going to like that. But not an American Kershaw, but an inexpensive Kershaw that is, number one, not assisted. Thank the Lord. Not assisted, right? And sporting D2 steel. It seems like this should have been something they caught up on a long time ago, but it's also only recently that we've really been seeing a lot of this. I know a lot of Kershaw's fan base really likes the assisted stuff, but we just have, you know, we have means of deployment and detent setups now that just, you don't need an assisted knife. An assisted knife really is just kind of unnecessary. I think it's fine to keep a few models around because, you know, a lot of beginners with knives, it just kind of helps to understand, like with the deployment, maybe it just kind of helps out. Maybe some people still prefer it. I like that this has this big fuller here, and that's the main thing that you use to deploy it. Whether you want to pinch open it with one hand, you want to open it with two hands, right? You want to do, my preference is to do the reverse flick, right? You can also, if you get low enough, do the forward flick, right? Or I suppose even up here you can, yeah, you can kind of dig your thumb into the top part. It's great. The action's really good too, and so is the detent, right? There, it's good. No movements, right? There's no pivot lash on this, and it also locks out completely and totally solid. There is plenty of room to engage that lock bar because the cutout on this side is lower and it's also carved out on the other side. Really nice, honestly. Now, this isn't a fall shut knife, but it will absolutely, if you move that lock bar over, it'll definitely fall shut. But with the detent ball contacting the surface of the blade tang, it's just a couple of wiggles and it'll close. Really, really nice. Ergonomically, it's also really comfortable too. You can definitely, if your hands are about the same as mine, I wear an XL glove, you can definitely get a full 4-finger grip on this guy, which is nice. I also like that the jimping extends out to a meaningful part of the spine of the blade. So depending on what you're doing, you can move your thumb to wherever it's appropriate, right? The pocket clip is probably a little bit too long. This looks like a pocket clip that Kershaw uses on a lot of their stuff. I really wish they had a shorter generic clip, something about the size of the Benchmade bug out for some of their knives that aren't really that big. I mean, this thing clears the 50% mark, the midfield mark, so to speak, of the knife, and it creates for a little bit of an uncomfortable experience in hand because that goose face or that goose bill is digging into your palm, but it's really not that big of a deal. That's a pretty minor complaint. I like the, they've got some cool, just nothing crazy. This is a pretty straightforward, honestly, this is a look that I appreciate from Kershaw because so much of their stuff is just so busy. They got lines and crazy stuff. Like not every knife needs to look like a spaceship, right? It's just got a simpler look to it. And the parts that they did dress up were not overstated or anything like that. It's great, right? Got a little bit of chamfering here. Edges nicely knocked down. Really nice, simple, lean, handle profile. And in the standard position, right? There's no flipper tab. You're nicely locked in, but you're pretty darn close to the initial cutting edge, and there's nothing really in the cutting path. Yeah, that fuller's going to fill up with gunk. Wipe it out. Get a cloth and just wipe it out, right? It's not really that big of a deal. The blade says Kershaw on one side. On the other side, it says 7020 Kai D2. That's the logo for the in-house design, and then it says China. This blade is, well, it's not fully flat ground. This area up here is the flat, so it's dropping from this point. It's actually dropping from about the flat there, but it does get nice and thin behind the edge. This has a nice taper, and it's going to slice, absolutely. D2, nothing wrong with D2. In fact, it's welcome, considering what they were using was 8CR 13 MOV and are still using on some of their knives. So that's really great. I don't have an issue with that. And the blade looks good. It's kind of, I guess is it bead blasted? Or are we going to call that tumbled? It sure looks bead blasted. It just doesn't have that chalky bead blast feeling. I think it's just kind of a dark tumbling, maybe. Same thing with the titanium. There is a place to mount the pocket clip for left-handed carry. So lefties, you can carry this. You're just going to be dealing with a right-handed frame lock. But as you can see here, it's really not that big of a deal. Can I reverse flick it? Yeah, you totally can. I'm right-handed, right? So it's not a right-handed frame lock, but you can definitely, I'm sure lefties can figure it out. I like that the backspacer is just a little bit, they did something extra. They could have just done like a plain, like nothing backspacer, but they didn't. They did, a kind of raised backspacer with I guess we could call that a fuller. Not really, that's not what it's called. It's just like a line milled in there. And I think that is, let's get a look at it. What is this? Honestly, it looks like plastic. I'm not really sure what it is, but okay, it goes with the whole, like, there's blue on here, right? Just adding a little bit of flair to it. Pocket clip, like I said, it's fine. It's just too long, right? It just needed to be a little bit shorter. It is a true deep carry clip, so there's hardly anything sticking up out of the pocket. And in and out of the pocket, it's super easy, right? Because it's smooth surfaces, you're not going to fray up your pants. There's an over travel stop that is shaped like this. I'm not sure what was wrong with the disc, but okay, they use this plate thing here. That's fine. It does the trick. No need for a lock bar insert because the entire lock bar is steel. There's your lockup, about 45%. No, like I said, no blade play up, down, left, to right. No lock stick. The surfaces on the inside of the pivot are nice and consistent. This is real nice. And then our centering here, it's pretty close. Is it? No, maybe it is right on. Yeah, okay. The tip looks like maybe one of the one of the grinds, like the grind on one side, maybe right at the tip, is just a little bit more aggressive than the other side. Let's look at it this way. Okay, yeah, there we go. It's centered. This is a good knife. How much is this? $52.99. That's more expensive than Civivi knives, and they offer, you know, liner locks and G10. All right. This knife, I think, would do better to be a G10 liner lock. Just so that part of the steel frame lock thing, it just makes it so heavy. And then at the same time, you have such a narrow frame, you still have to watch out. You know, you can't put your fingers on the lock bar. Then again, you're not necessarily going to be doing that unless you're going to be deploying it like this. Then maybe you're going to be accidentally bracing this side. Still, it would do better as a G10 liner lock. But then some of the character would be taken away, and it would just be another G10 and D2 liner lock on the market for slightly more than what Civivi does the same thing for, you know? So, I don't know. This is one of Kershaw's best knives at this price point. And if you're wondering, can I recommend it? Yeah, this is cool, right? If you're sick of buying the same thing from Civivi over and over and over again, right? Or if you have not bought a Civivi and you look at them and you think, meh, right? This is a good choice. If you're new to pocket knives, don't waste your time with assisted stuff. Like I get it. Like some people just love assisted. Don't waste your time with it. It's pointless. The detents on these, you know, a lot of this modern stuff, the way that it's set up, they can deploy just as fast, just as convenient, and it's one less thing to break. On an assisted knife, if there's no detent hole in the blade and the torsion bar fails, you got a knife that's just flopping around, right? I mean, it's just have a manual knife. It works, it's better, right? So this is at $52, right, from Kershaw D2. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this at all. This is definitely one of my favorite inexpensive Kershaw knives, and I'm definitely gonna recommend it. So this will go on my recommended knives playlist, as well as my cheap knives I like playlist. Very cool, nice offering from Kershaw. Easy review, pretty straightforward, pretty quick today, guys. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Like I said, you can pick this knife up right down in the description. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.